Hello. Welcome back to another episode of the Yoga Well podcast. I'm Chase Bossart, Executive Director of the Yoga Well Institute and longtime student of Mr. TKV Deshikachar. On this podcast, we talk about all things Vini Yoga. It's a broad and also a deep series of topics. Today, we're going to talk about meditation. What is it? What is it not? How to do it? What would be considered a success? What are the different aspects of it, etc.? Meditation is one of these topics where people say something like, I tried that one time, but I have monkey mind and I can't do it. Or, there is nothing worse than being required to sit still for long periods of time. Meditation is torture. Both of these are based on incorrect understandings of what is meditation, how does it work, why would I do it, etc. So that's what we're going to dig into today. If you look from a historical perspective at the past couple thousand years of yoga, what you see is the two main practices are meditation and conscious breathing. So yoga is essentially been interested in the functioning of the mind and how it operates, and the functioning of the breathing and what that does to the human system for 2,000 years, at least. So when people think of yoga as a physical set of exercises or as a kind of spirituality, etc., they're not wrong, but they're also missing the full range of what is yoga. So, what is meditation from the perspective of yoga? Meditation is the intentional directing of the mind in a chosen direction. So there's a bunch of different aspects to that, which we'll break down. First one is the intentional directing of the mind. Meditation from a yoga perspective involves choice. If something happens to the system and you find yourself in, quote, a meditative state, that's fine and that's great and all. But one of the points of that is that you may not know how to repeat it. You may not know how to re-access that. What we ideally would like to be able to do through the practice of meditation and the practice of yoga is to have repeatable experiences. And the reason for that is experiences are the currency which changes the way our system functions. And by choosing a certain set of experiences over a different set of experiences, we can really have a strong influence and a positive influence on the way that our mind and our emotions, our bodies function, etc. In order to have the choice to direct the mind in a particular direction, we must already be in a certain state. This is where people find that they're not good meditators, because so often in the West, meditation involves sit, have no thoughts, or sit, follow the breath. There's zero preparation. People are just told to do. Well, from a yoga perspective, this does not make sense, because the behavior of your mind is going to be manifesting the state that you're in. Think about it. You drove home You had a very stressful day at work. You almost got in an accident on the way home. You pull into the driveway. Let's suppose you just go straight into your room and sit on your cushion. There is going to take some time to decompress and to come out of all of that stress and the way that the mind is going to be acting. So if I just sit on my cushion and let's say I try to think about God, or I try to send positive thoughts to people, etc., or whatever meditation practice someone may have, my first thought is very likely to be, that imbecile in the car almost crashed into me. What were they thinking, etc.? And then I may catch myself and be like, oh, let's see, send them some positivity. And then I will likely not be able to do this, etc. So from a yoga perspective, the single most important aspect of a successful meditation is proper preparation. We have to make sure that we change the state of our system, which is body, breath, mind, behavior, emotions. All those things are interconnected. And when one thing is out of balance, or one thing is agitated, all the other things are going to be agitated or out of balance. So we need to spend a little bit of time and bring the whole system back towards equilibrium, bring the whole system back towards equanimity, etc. So in yoga, meditation, unless the person has already maintained their state very well, we always want to do some breathing and some movements first as a way of retuning the system. So, what is the first thing to do in meditation? Prepare. Do some movements. Do some breathing. Bring yourself out of agitation. Bring yourself back to equanimity, etc. Now, a choice will be possible. Now you can decide, I am going to focus on. Otherwise, it will not be possible. Second aspect of our definition that, meditation is an intentional directing of the mind in a chosen focus. So the second aspect to talk about is, what is mind? Well, from a yoga perspective, mind is functionally defined. Mind is defined by what you can perceive that it is doing. 5 categories are given. There is, the mind has the capacity to perceive and to understand accurately. It also has the power, the capacity to understand and to perceive inaccurately. So those are the first 2 activities of mind, or the 2 functions of mind. Then mind also has capacity for language, vikalpa, which Mr. Deshagachar also taught was imagination, the ability to perceive something based on language, which is not currently in front of you. So the mind has the ability to perceive, understand both accurately, inaccurately, as well as communicate and imagine. And mind also has a record of all the experiences that have happened. This is called smrti. It often gets translated as memory, but memory, as it's understood in the English language, is easy to confuse as something that, I remember at such and such a time, etc. And smrti is a much broader category. It is the record of everything you have ever experienced. And Some of that you will have conscious ability to access and like remember, and some of it you will not. But regardless, the mind has that record in your system. And then the last one, which is actually listed as the fourth, but the last one is called nidra, which is off, or you can say dreamless sleep. If you're on the wrong end of a left hook, you will also go into nidra. We can say that there are 5 activities of mind, but only 4 of them can be operating at any one time, because if nidra is operating, then the other 4 will be dormant. So, what is meditation from a perspective of yoga? All 4 of the active functions or active parts of mind will be connected to a single focus. You may say, but wait, accurate perception and inaccurate perception are both connected? Yes. Now, as you continue with meditating on that focus, might be during that session itself, or it might be days or weeks or even months afterwards, there will be refinements. And very often, or ideally, over time, the perception that is inaccurate or the understandings that are inaccurate become less and less active. We choose to put our attention somewhere, and then we keep that attention linked to that place continuously. This is meditation. Now, when you hear that, you might think that means that there is a kind of stasis. Let's say I put my attention on the concept of love, and that I should just be there with love. Well, in the initial stages, there are going to be lots of different inputs. I will have, of course, had my previous experiences. I received love from parents or from siblings, or there's romantic love, or there's brotherly love, neighborly love, etc. All of these ideas may be there. Some will be from my record of previous experiences. Some will be from current situations. When you put your attention on this one place, it should not be static. There will be some insights that arise. There will be some memories of previous things. Sometimes they're positive, sometimes they're negative. One of the definitions of meditation in yoga is a refining of memory. And when you put your attention somewhere and you are able to keep the continuity of that link, things will arise. And very often you get insights, and very often feelings, and there's a kind of digestion that becomes possible. Not something that you are doing, but something that is happening as a result of it. So, meditation is not static. And sometimes things arise that take us away from the topic. So, let's say again, the focus is love, and some memories of my childhood arise that are very positive, and then something arises that's very painful. And then we start wondering, whatever happened to that person? And where are they? And then I wonder if so-and-so would have their phone number. So, do I even have so-and-so's number in my phone? Where is my phone? Okay, now we have gone a long distance away from the focus of love. How did we get there? Well, some memories arose, but that memory that arose caused us to think of other things, and then other memories arose, and then that caused us to think of other things. And so there's a kind of moving away from the topic. This is no longer meditation because we are no longer connected to the intentionally chosen focus. But very often things arise where a memory comes up and it might be very painful, and then another one comes up and that one's also painful, and then we have an insight. Oh, I chose such and such type of person, or I did such and such an action, and in both of those cases it resulted in this painful experience, etc. Or so this will be considered to be meditation because we are continually connected in the same direction, and some evolution is happening, some refinement, some insights, some things that we didn't know before are arising, etc. And all of those are staying more or less aligned or connected to this topic, to the focus that we chose. So the point here is that meditation is sometimes given a bad rap of just sitting and staring at your navel and having no thoughts. And if you have any thoughts, you have been unsuccessful in your meditation. And I think that this is an unfortunate characterization of this practice. Meditation is going to be, there's going to be a refining of the mind that happens through this process, and that involves content. It does not involve nothingness. So, choice is dependent on state. If you have some kind of balance, then the mind will be directable and you can choose where to put your attention. If you're agitated or out of balance, you will not be able to choose the place where you keep your attention, and it will be chosen for you and you'll be dragged along on a ride. That is not meditation. What is mind? Mind is functionally defined in yoga: perception, understanding, accurate and inaccurate. 2, imagination, language. 3, record of our previous experiences. 4, when whatever is active, whatever is functioning, is directed to the chosen focus, you're in a state of meditation. When the mind moves away from that focus, then this is called distraction. It is not a state of meditation. That line is a little gray, and the more you practice, the better you get at seeing what it is or not. Okay, some other important aspects of meditation. There is a difference between meditation as a practice and meditation as a state. So, I practice this every day. I often say to my wife, okay, I am now going to practice. I don't say to my wife, I am now going to be in a state of meditation, because I don't know if that will arise or not. All I can do is attempt. I can make the efforts. This variable of meditation is known as depth. So I sit down on my cushion. I do my preparation, my case, breathing, chanting. I focus the mind, and then the mind may stay with the focus easily, and it may not. In Patanjali's Yoga Sutra, he defines 3 different depths of meditation. In the shallow, which is called dharana, which is the 6th of the 8 limbs of yoga, dharana is defined as requiring effort to keep the mind on a particular place. Requiring effort. If you are successful, there will be a continuous link with the focus. But there will also be awareness of other things. I have a 4.5-year-old. She comes into the room. Sometimes she plays next to me while I'm meditating, etc. So in a shallow state of meditation, the mind, the attention remains on the focus, and I am also aware that she is in the room. There are occasions when the quality of the link with the focus shifts such that I am only aware of the focus and the fact that I am observing. When that happens, this is called dhyanam by Patanjali. It is the 7th of the 8 limbs. When that happens, there is an experiential difference in terms of my perception and experience of the focus. And it's either that the focus grows and takes over the perceptual field, or my perceptual field narrows to only be in that focus. In that case, I will not realize that my daughter has come into the room. She may even say, "Daddy, how much longer?" Something like that. I will not hear it. This is a deeper state of meditation. The only 2 things that are present are the object and the awareness that I am observing. This state of dhyanam is also where insight arises. In the previous state, shallow state, dharana, you have a continuous link with the object, but you are driving. You are deciding what comes up and what you think about and how you interact with the focus. When your system shifts and this deeper state arises, you are also no longer driving. You are now along for the ride. And the insights that arise, the understanding that comes, the feelings that shift, these are not things that you generate. These are gifts. This is the magic of meditation. There is one more stage, which is if you remain in this second state, dhyanam, for some time, it may deepen again, and then the awareness that I am observing drops away. So this is known as samadhi. Samadhi is a very important state, generally from yoga philosophy, etc., and is considered to be an important tool. Many people mistakenly interpret samadhi as the goal, as though if you get into this state, you have flipped the switch, you have rung the bell, you have made it, and that is, now you've done everything. No. Sorry to disappoint you if that's what you had hoped, but no. Samadhi is simply another tool. The goal is something different. In samadhi, the awareness that I am observing goes dormant, the mind is still active. It is still connected to the focus, but the focus is all that is there. When you come out of samadhi, you will not remember what happened. In other words, the identity, in my case, Chase, has gone dormant. When Chase comes back, Chase does not have access to the record of experiences, the smriti, to remember what was going on in that state. However, the mind has recorded that, and the system retains that experience within us. This is the variable of depth. In other words, there is a difference between the practice of meditation and the experience of meditation. You can sit down and say you're going to meditate, but whether or not there is this deepening of the experience of the direction you have put the mind or not is beyond your control and is actually dependent upon the overall state of your system. In other words, are you in a state of equanimity, of equilibrium, of balance, etc.? Is it a shallow state? Like, did you just create it a few minutes before you began your meditation? Or is it something that is actually where you dwell and live a lot of your life? And so when you actually come and sit to meditate, there's a difference, right? So another variable in meditation involves accuracy. When we start to focus, when we put our attention somewhere, inevitably our initial insights will be mostly colored by our previous experiences. In other words, by the record of our memory and our imagination. But as you stay with the same focus over days and weeks and months and even years, etc., there is a refining that happens. And gradually, the record of our previous experiences, what we often call memory, becomes less and less dominant in the construction of our experience of the focus. And instead, each time we put our attention in the focus, etc., some new insights arise, some new fresh understanding is there, something that we hadn't thought of before or hadn't experienced or hadn't seen, etc. This is another way of thinking about what is meditation. Meditation is the traveling, is the refining of our understanding or of our experiences of a particular direction. This is called, by Patanjali, this is called samyama. All right, that's a lot about what is meditation, right? Meditation is a intentional placing of the activities of the mind on a chosen focus. I'm trying to change the wording of the definition each time so that you can catch the meaning of it and not get caught up in each individual word, right? So that will then lead to the next question, which is, why would somebody meditate? What is it that you want to do? And there are some traditional answers for this. So Bhagavad Gita gives 4 answers. What is the purpose of meditating? First purpose is healing, to come out of some kind of suffering. That could be physical, it could be emotional, it could be perceptual. In other words, meditation is a means of helping the person to reestablish equilibrium equanimity, balance, health, whatever word you want to use. Second purpose of meditation is to learn something we didn't know before. It has to do with the acquisition of jnanam, of our knowing. There's so many applications here. What is the next step in my life? What can I do to help my family member? Why is such and such a situation feeling so bad? Why? What is going on? These are all possible uses of meditation, giving us understanding into some thing or situation we didn't know. The third one is meditation allows you to do what you couldn't do before. In other words, meditation builds capacity. There's so many applications for this as well. I couldn't talk in front of a group of people before. I couldn't say no. I couldn't play piano. I've always wanted to, but somehow I just couldn't. Meditation gives us the ability to do things which we were not able to do before. The last purpose that's given for Bhagavad Gita for why would you meditate? Simply to be. In other words, meditation brings you in contact with an essential, authentic foundation of yourself. And there is the possibility of exploring beingness. In the third chapter of Patanjali's Yoga Sutra, there are many other reasons that are given for why we would meditate. But the foundational mechanism is as follows. Who you are is the combination of your physical and mental and emotional attributes, the things that you were born with, in combination with the experiences that you have. And the experiences that you have over time develop patterns. Those patterns are useful. And those patterns are also limiting. So, what the third chapter of Patanjali's Yoga Sutra gives us is a methodology for using meditation as a way of replacing those patterns which have developed over the course of your life with patterns that you choose and which you would really want. How do we get those? Well, just like any pattern, you have an experience, something remains from that, then you have another experience, something remains with you from that experience. The more you repeat it, the stronger that residue becomes, and eventually it can become a kind of pattern or habit. How did you learn to ski? How did you learn to swim? How did you learn to drive a car? How did you learn to eat? How did you learn to use chopsticks? Yada, 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 yada. All of this is simply repeated experience. What meditation gives us is the possibility to choose to develop some patterning, which is extremely useful to us. Suppose that I have internalized an idea that I am not lovable, or I am not worthy, or I can't really have what I want. I can have something kind of in that direction, but I can't have what I really want. Those things are patterns. They have come out of experience. How do you change your perspective on the world? How do you develop a feeling of I'm lovable, or I am worthy, or I can have what I want, etc.? By having experiences which give you that feeling. So, what is meditation? Meditation is choosing to link with a particular focus, choosing to link in a particular direction. If you're able to keep the attention there, and there is some refining that happens of that experience or of that object, and there is a deepening of the link, then there is a real potential for the development of a new pattern. This means what you choose to meditate on is critically important. Because if you choose the wrong object, then you will be developing experiences that and strengthening experiences that are not helpful and sometimes quite detrimental. One of the ideas in Vinaya Yoga is that everyone needs to have a guide. Everyone needs to be working with a reliable reference. In the beginning, it is almost always better for the reference to be the one that chooses the meditation object. As someone develops their skill, etc. Okay, we're open to the meditator choosing the object, etc. But to have the guidance and feedback of a mentor is very important. Meditation is a special depth of experience. It is strong. And when you are repeating that in the same place again and again, it really has the potential to develop strong patterns in you. And just like a knife is so useful. You can do so many things that you couldn't do if you didn't have the knife. But if you hold the knife at the wrong end, it will also be quite painful and detrimental. Same thing with meditation. Meditation is something that is so powerful, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's positive. It's important to have the guidance of someone who understands the process and who can help you establish a practice that will be useful. And by the way, that will need to be revised over time, because each time you have an experience, etc., you will change. So you go for a while, then you meet with your mentor. Maybe the focus of the meditation needs to be refined. Maybe it doesn't. These are all different discussions about the purpose of meditation. And what we haven't talked about so far is what would you meditate on? But you can see that what you meditate on, whether it is a particular physical place like a mountain or a stream, or whether it's a symbol like a cross or a Star of David or an Om, etc., or whether it is a concept like love or friendship, or a very subtle, something very subtle, say your breath, or the God, or the source of perception, etc. All of these are different potential focuses of meditation. A meditation will always have some kind of focus. Even if the instructions are, have no thoughts. That is not a focusless meditation. That is not an objectless meditation. Have no thoughts means be present, but don't let the forms of ideas or sensations or visualization, etc., come in, etc. This is actually quite advanced and very difficult. Point is, your attention will still be on something. It's just very difficult to articulate what that something is because it's beyond forms. I hope also that you can see meditation is not relaxation. You can choose as one of the possible outcomes of meditation or the possible purposes of meditation that it is relaxation or that it's calming or that it's soothing or that it gives you the feeling of safety or whatever it may be. These are all sort of possible outcomes. But too often in our culture, meditation is just thought of as like deep relaxation. No. In meditation, there is a lot of activity. It's just that the activity is directed in a particular direction and is channeled. And also I hope you see that meditation is not a blank mind. This is a huge topic. There's a lot more that goes on there. At the Yoga Well Institute, we have weekly meditation class, and every other week we have a discussion explaining the structure of the meditation class. So in the meditation class, we do some movement, then we do some breathing, then we direct our mind towards a particular focus. It changes every month. Then in the discussion class, we talk about how the preparation set the foundation for the experience of the focus and what happened in the experiencing of the focus. This class, which we call the application of meditation class, is how we understand the ways that preparation and the structuring of the meditation experience facilitate the experiences that we have in meditation. Again, it's a deep and it's a broad topic. If you're interested in knowing more about this broad and deep topic, please check out our website or sign up for some of our classes. Thank you, and we'll see you again soon.